Don't Give Up Your Day Job, a local musician's guide. By me, Paul Gillings. An educational and sometimes humorous look at what it's like to be part of the local music scene. Right, so, hello, my name's Paul Gillings, and welcome to our new podcast. Don't Give Up Your Day Job, I think I might call it, because we're struggling musicians on a local scene trying to get things together, trying to give up our day jobs and become full-time musicians. And along my route, along that, over the past 35 years as a harmonica player and songwriter, I've met some interesting people, none of which were available, so I've got these three here today to come and have a chat with me about their experience of the local music scene. And we're specifically going to be talking about gigging, I think, mostly today. So who have I got with me? So going round from my left, I have Mr. Jon Peach. Hello, John.
Hello, you're right, how are you?
Nice one, mate. Good to see you. Peter Stopforth. Hello, Peter.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is the afternoon. And Mr. Danny R.
Hey folks, how you doing?
All right, dude. It's very nice to meet you all. So what I think we should do first of all, really, then, is to get things kicked off and a little bit of warm up, is to take it in turns to introduce ourselves, say what we're up to musically, like right now, and perhaps say how you met me and how we know each other. Who want to go first? Anybody?
Bit of an AA meeting going on. Gonna go first.
No, those are much more fun than this.
Age before beauty.
Go on then, Peter, kick us off, buddy.
I've been in the longest, I suppose. Right, okay, I'm... right now, I am involved in writing more than anything else. Because of the state of the scene, really. I've decided that the best thing I can do is try and get my stuff as good as I can get it and produce as much of it as I can. So I've got a product.
Yeah.
Previously, I'd been down the route of gigging in the normal way with bands and things. I've gigged with John previously and gigged with yourself, the normal thing. But I was also involved with wedding gigs and tried to hit the higher paid end of the market. Because it was a disappointment that I hadn't become a rock star.
You haven't become a rock star yet, Peter. That's why we're here, my man.
Yeah, which was
ever too late.
and then obviously with the pandemic, when that hit, there was no weddings, there was no gigs anyway.
No.
So since then, I've been trying to improve my equipment levels at home so I can get my standard, up without any knowledge of technology.
I think that's been a fairly broad thing across a lot of musicians I speak to have invested in gear, video cameras, home recording equipment, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly that, right? And specifically to record my own stuff. The sounds that I make with...
So it's encouraged you to become more original musician then, this particular situation, and the preceding nature of the scene as it was anyway, regardless of...
It has. It's improved me as a musician as well, because you get time to spend getting things perfect.
Okay.
There is no, no one gives you a list of 18 songs before a gig. You've got that's on the Wednesday, right? Yeah, that's on the Wednesday. Do you see what I mean? It's it gives you all that time to get things just as you want it. So I've got an album now which I have found time to write.
Fantastic.
But struggle with technology in order to record and produce my product, so that's where I am.
That's your age, isn't it?
That's my age.
I'm the fucking same.
That was the first swear word, John. That wasn't even his go, though. That wasn't even his go. Do you know what I mean? He got the first swear word in my go.
Nice one, yeah. Well, and how do we know each other, Peter? Where did we meet?
I've been aware of you for some time. Someone else originally, I played in a band called the Straight From Work Blues Band with the late great Steve Margetson and a guy called Keith Elwood, a few other people, the drummer from Raucous, Stewart.
All right, yeah.
And another guy turned up claiming he was you, the world harmonica champion. Right? That's how I first became aware.
He didn't give you he didn't say he was Paul Gillings, did he? He said...
No, he said he was...
his actual name.
Yeah. But he said that he had competed in the same way that you had and won the titles that you had won.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant story. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I feel like Slim Shady with the real Paul Gillings stand.
Yeah. And that's so when you and then some obviously loads of years later, I was advertising for studio space, and you at that point turned up, and I was expecting to see the other guy because I'd done.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're much better than
I was
the
going to
other
say,
guy.
was he any good?
Well, not like him.
Yeah, no.
I think the only thing you said to me, because I said, was this chap any good then? Was he well chap? And you said, well, he just wouldn't shut up. And I don't say to know if that was any good or not.
Yeah.
No,
But I think knowing
just,
when not to
he
play
didn't know.
was the
Yeah.
greatest part.
Yeah, that's totally,
The problem is, he was in a band with Steve Margetson, who was like, he's an ex-Royal Marines bandsman, who was, and sadly died last year, right? So he's absolutely superb musician. No matter what band he was in, he was the best on all of your instruments.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was that level. He was
hate him already.
Yeah.
no, man, he was a funny guy.
Telling the people I get on my nerves.
Yeah, but people like him, if he steps forward with a sax or something to play a solo, trying to outdo him on your harmonica when it's not your turn,
Yeah.
and it was that, and it was that eventually that we let him go.
Right.
We had a superb guitarist as well, and it was just. They all got a turn. It was a blues band,
right.
it was right. But
awesome. Well, I'm so glad that we did meet and we're here now. So I'll lean towards Mr. Jon Peach then. Hello, sir.
All right.
What are you up to at the moment? What musically thing do you do? And how do we know each other?
Right, so I'm generally a songwriter, and obviously I've been pretty much similar to Pete. I mean, lockdown has, through that kind of spanner in the works where there were no gigs, and a lot of musicians were online kind of worried and moaning about it, but I did the same as Pete. I just started writing more and trying to record, and it was actually quite freeing. I mean, I found it, not now, but no, I'm done. But the first lockdown, it was sunny and all that kind of stuff. I spent quite a lot of that, drunkenly writing songs and actually quite enjoying it. It was fun.
I do like the fact that I follow you online and you're always writing songs and you just record yourself playing it on acoustic guitar and just get it out there.
Yeah, I like
You're
to.
just so free like that.
I think
I
the
don't
thing
have
is
that sort of confidence. I really admire that.
I just have nowhere to put it. So if I record it, what the fuck am I going to do with it?
Inner ear is the wrong place.
Yeah.
So when
Depends on
that's
the
your art.
So yeah, singer-songwriter. I had. So you Love Songs for Losers is your.
Love Songs for Losers is like the band. I mean, it started off as a solo thing that went quite poppy, and now it's turned into kind of like a funky, old-fashioned R&B band,
Fantastic.
but with modern vocals. So I still sing in a kind of like how I used to, and then I do a solo thing, so I don't have to. Just because I've got so many songs, I've got fucking it's tricky to keep a band all together doing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I like to play a lot, really. So
Cool. And when did we meet? Because I seem to think it was. I think we knew, like Peter there, we were aware of each other on the scene and stuff like that. And then we'd friended each other on Facebook just because we're connecting, because we're musicians. And then I think you or your producer, Mark, is it Mark?
That's it, yeah.
Anyone do Photoshop?
yeah, that was it.
I might do a little bit of Photoshop.
I think we needed some stuff kind of shaping up. But I was in a blues band years ago, and I'd heard your name about on the scene quite a bit. So I'm sure I'd seen you play in that.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it was through like
how we finally got in touch and spoke properly.
To each other.
Yeah, it was through my other my day job that I'm trying to give up here as an art editor for magazines and stuff like that, and a graphic designer. Okay, well, it's awesome. It's awesome to have you here, John. Thanks for that, mate.
Nice one.
And then finally,
Thanks for sharing.
what goes here stays here, except for the 5 people listening on Spotify. So just
5 already?
no, we haven't got any. No, it's just being ambitious. I can dream. Can't I?
Yeah.
So anyway, Mr. Danny R, thanks for coming. Nice to see you again. Like we're not always together anyway.
This is it, mate.
So what is it you're doing musically? As if I didn't know.
I'm basically just chilling out with Paul Gillings, mate. We are kind of working on our distribution for the next EP that we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting it all segmented into tasks, which we all know is 5% of it is playing the music and actually writing it. 95% of it is everything else goes behind.
Mm.
And we're sort of prepping for that, mate. And we've had a busy year.
Mm.
We're just sort of chilling out a little bit now, getting our minds together. But the songwriting process, yeah, it's still there, man. It's still flowing in the background.
And just for those that don't know, obviously I know because we hang out together and write songs together and did a load of gigs last year and stuff like that. You're a songwriter and guitarist primarily?
Primarily guitarist, started off as on acoustic 4-string out of the loft. And then finally worked up to my first little acoustic. I had an electric guitar, got into original sort of cover bands, playing rock, and then started writing my own original rock stuff as well. I think 15, 16 I started doing that. I was quite late into the sort of instrument music world. I was more sort of rap and writing lyrics, to be honest with you. Sort of underground stuff. And it's sort of the appreciation I think that I found from watching people perform live music was what sparked that crossover.
Got your inspiration from seeing other people doing it actually live as opposed to from records?
Always, massive appreciation for studio work, production, beats like Dr. Dre and like Redman, Method Man, Cypress Hill, all that kind of stuff. So it's real deep stuff there, and the lyrics and that. I was listening to that when I was like 10.
I think for a rock and musician, that can give you a really broad spectrum of writing to draw from, can't it? And give you a different edge, which is one thing that always drew me to your songwriting, was that there was a different edge to this. It wasn't just your straight ahead 3 chords and a truth. There was something different now. Do you think perhaps that's your rap, hip hop, and that appreciation for that kind of music mixed in there?
Definitely, because it's such a vast genre of music that my folks listened to as a kid, and that I literally had such a.
I love old school hip hop. Oh, it's just superb.
But I had influence from like 50s, like rockabilly stuff, mate, that my dad used to listen to a lot. But then it would be like 80s In Excess, Duran Duran, it would be right across the board. Simply Red, Michael Jackson, going right through them. But then I found Eminem at the age of 10. Yeah. And that for me, from that point onwards, was like, what is this world of like of storytelling? A very dark, can be a dark form.
People don't realise there's quite a lot of lyrics to a rap, isn't there? I mean, as a songwriter, if you sit down to write a rap, it'll take you a lot longer than it will to sit out and write a pop hit.
That's it.
See, John, that's interesting that you should say that. We've had this conversation before about the over-wordy song. You know, like how some people, right, and it's impossible to do that with rap. Right, because, right,
enough.
But so therefore you need more of a story to tell, don't you? Because you've got to say more.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're writing a song with, I don't know, 2 verses, a couple of choruses and a middle 8 or whatever, I could probably bang you one out now, I guess.
He definitely could, John. He could do.
Fine.
Because you're the most productive. You've got to be the most productive of us. They fall out of you. Sometimes if you're walking behind you, you pick them up. Yeah.
Drop 4 on the stairs.
Yeah.
I didn't use a pen anymore. I just press record on the studio and go. Easier. But there's just a lot of words in there. I mean, and every word has to be clever. So the more words, the clever you have to be. And, so I would find that.
It almost seems to like cascade in rap as well, doesn't it? It progresses like as further you get into the rap, the more and more sort of cutting.
Yeah. You have to be hard. You have to push.
It gets towards the end of the song, the building to a crescendo.
Yes. 2 or 3 lines.
Do you think
all the time.
It's because
it's definitely like a.
It's part of the hook, though, isn't it? It's not just a musical hook, but it's part of the hook.
Drawing you into the song. What hero is it? How is he going to finish this up? So that's awesome, mate. Thanks for sharing. And how do we know each other? Where do we meet?
We met, mate, at Club Iniquity.
We did. I mean, we've told this story on a few podcasts.
A hell of a club.
Funny enough, I had the same sort of rumour as yourself, mate, that the world champion harmonica player is going to be turned up, but it was actually the real one. But I didn't know it.
It could have been fake.
This is it. So I just done up there. I'd opened up the night and I got up there. I think it was my second time playing Club Iniquity, so I was looking forward to going back there. I knew that Jamos Matthew Band was playing. And they were the guys from when I was like 15, 16.
We're going to have to get Jamos on one of these episodes, I think, as a local, especially songwriter, I think. We're going to have to get him
I think I might have been there that night at Club Iniquity.
Did you, mate?
I have a feeling I was there.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I hadn't seen the guys play for years, man, obviously being out of it. But 15, 16, it was Jamos, Matty and all those guys were hot round it. It was 2005, 2006 kind of time. So I was already looking forward to seeing them guys, but I knew that they'd got a world champion harmonica player on board. But anyway.
That was an incredibly long time ago.
But mate, for us, it's like
Peter
so
and
when
everything.
you know that you've got someone of prestige that's coming to what you'd call like a cosy kind of club inequity.
It's nice and underground. And
yeah,
that, and
when you're getting someone special come through those doors, you're naturally looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of the audience is musical related.
It is, yeah,
and, you know, like look at you. You were both there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see what I mean?
that kind of place, wasn't it? Really?
Just for those listening at home, and it relates completely what we're talking to and what we're here to talk about, which is gigging on our local music scene. Club Uniquity was something set up by a friend of ours, Paul Johnson, where he basically took an old derelict barn, converted it into a venue, and this is out at Summer Leighton near Great Yarmouth, in between
Opposite the Duke's Head, isn't it?
That's it, the Duke's Head, yeah, and on Summer Leighton Estate, and he turned it into a venue just so that there could be somewhere to hold A&R nights, so that original music, poetry, and that
the stipulation that it wasn't original music as well, which is the critical thing. That's the brave move.
He would shush the audience.
He would shush the audience.
Yeah.
If not, you would have to get out.
But that's the brave move.
And put a bar in there, and then
yes, but that is the real on his behalf. There's saying okay, original music. That is a brave and a commendable thing. You know, like honourable thing to do in the music industry. That
it doesn't go down greatly. I mean, it does it for a venue or whatever, but as a musician, I think sometimes going, I'm purely original, sometimes.
Well, I think that's something that we need to get into when we talk about our gigging experience as well, because we've all been in covers bands, we've all been in original bands, and like Pete said earlier on, aiming yourself towards more the originality. And I know now all four of us, none of us do covers. No. You know, we all do original, and I think we need to discuss about how we got there and why it is we've taken that decision. So I think going through our gigging history will probably be a good place to get going about now. Yeah. So what I want to ask each of you, each in turn, and get from you each is, what was your first gig, and what was your first experience of gigging around this area? Because I take it, like Pete, you're like Norwich, Yarmouth is your original. Lowestoft, is it? Okay, and John, how about yourself?
Mine would have been Yarmouth. Yeah, Yarmouth, Lowestoft area.
Yeah, what sort of era are we talking about? Early gigs for you?
We are talking 90s, I suppose. Yeah.
90s. And Pete, when did you first start? Because I know you're the old. We don't want to make your age a theme.
No,
1988. 1988.
1983.
1983. Okay, so it only precedes me
I would suppose 83. I'd have been about 13.
Okay, so it only preceded me by 5 years. I started in 1988. I did a busking thing in Market Gates Shopping Centre was my first gig, and my second one was a week after at the Pleasure Beach. Our managers had organised for us when I was 11. And Danny, what sort of era? And because Danny's the youth. Yes,
early noughties.
He's the youth, early noughties, and sort of around Lowestoft area.
Seabreeze, mate.
Seabreeze.
Yeah, Seabreeze.
Yes, another good venue from back in the day.
Yeah,
Seabreeze on commercial roads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who's going to go first? Talk about the first gig. Talk about age again before the beauty. The beauty of age.
Yeah. The beauty
the older
of age.
The fiddle, the sweeter the tune.
Our host there.
Tell us, so learned, wise.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, my first gig
gigs,
was somebody's birthday party, and it was with Jez Postel, who was the guitarist with Full Frontal, which was Al Tiffin's band.
Full Frontal. They played a lot of bike rallies and stuff like that.
Right.
The Suffolk Coasters Motorcycle Club.
Frontal. Well, originally, that's Andy Parker as well, the drummer.
Yeah.
Andy Parker and
left-handed drummer, big white kit.
Out. Yeah. Snowy Brown is in the name he goes under.
Excellent name,
I know,
of course.
Yeah. He was a sound man for Stuart Perry and things like that, and he was our sound guy, and Al Tiffin was our security guy.
From Load.
From Pump. Al from Load was the Pump.
I remember Pump being on the Yarmouth scene and stuff like that, and playing in the Centurion.
Okay, and I can remember you playing at Battle of the Bands or something with you and your brother years ago as well. Cool. Anyway, I think that's the other guy was a guy called Mark Parker, who was the most phenomenal drummer even at that young age, but he went on to be a really successful magician.
So how did you get this gig at the birthday party?
Sleight of
How
hand.
did you get your gigs these
Started
days?
rehearsing with Jez and Andy originally in like the shed at the bottom of my garden. I was playing bass then, and Jez managed to get the gig, you know, like, and it was a baptism of fire, to be honest.
What was the gear like? What were you using, like, you know, like as far as your PA goes?
I was using.
Because I think that's something else.
I was using a precision bass.
Insanely.
I was using
So
a
you still had
precision
a posh
bass.
old guitar as it goes.
It wasn't
a
no.
gear.
No,
Precision bass.
it was a precision style bass.
Okay, right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, here comes
Jez,
the
right?
truth.
If you want to know about the
Yeah,
gear, if you want to know
yeah.
about the gear, right? Jez at that time, Jez is a good guitarist.
So 1983-ish. We've got a precision style bass, not a Fender Precision, because couldn't afford one. Didn't know
and
one
a
available.
PV. Oh, a Selma,
PV
a Selma
were
amp
everywhere.
originally,
Selma, okay,
which was like the big bass head and massive cab type affair.
Right, yeah.
Jez though had a guitar that they used to sell in Woolworths called a Satellite.
Yeah.
Right?
I've heard of it, mate.
Oh, seriously, mate.
What, you've heard of Woolworths?
No, let me tell you this.
'Cause they're gone
Let
now.
me tell you this. It was the most. For starters, he had it for years, and nobody else could play it and make it sound in tune. Only Jez developed a playing style around the fact that this guitar was out of tune, right? And it was the worst thing. It had an action on it. Mate, you could have got your head. You could have got your head at the 12th fret. You could have got your head. Right?
Because I have an issue when I see young bands these days, and I'm talking about teenagers, and obviously not in the last couple of years, and they have immaculate gear.
Shit, that gear cost $1 million.
Oh,
The last band I saw at a brewery,
Monty.
even 10 years ago, they could barely string 3 notes together, and he had a Music Man bass and a Mesa Boogie amp.
Yeah, rich parents.
Can you remember Wayne Moyes
American Street.
and Monty,
Yeah.
the pump guitarist? He was the king. Monty, he played with Frank Morrow and like some other people. Rune Stuff
You
was his
drop
band.
names in here, it's like carpet, they won't play.
Okay, Rune Stuff. Anyway, he's good. He's a really good guitarist, but he was also a carpenter. And he had an old Washburn guitar. He'd cut one of the horns off. He'd refinished it in blue saddling. He had when he first turned up at the first rehearsal, he emptied the beer out of his pedal board into the bin. Right, a wooden homemade pedal board. He opened the top and it was all full of beer, and he just tipped it in the bin.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Right, seriously. And he had a cabinet that he'd made himself, and some amp that had been like he'd got from like someone that wasn't working properly, or only half of it was working. And at the end of every gig, I can remember. We played with Lee Vasey one night over at the Hopton Holiday Village for some do or other, and there was guys, young lads standing at the front that were from a band. You know, I spoke to them a little bit, and they were looking, and one of them was going, "But he sounds great," and the other one was going, "But his gear is shit." Right? and it's like there is no correlation between someone's
The gear
gear
and sound,
and
no,
how they
totally
sound.
agree with
People
that,
that once you get to a certain stage, you sound like yourself. I can identify which guitarist is playing far quicker than I can identify what he's playing. If I
Unfortunately,
listen,
not harmonica players who claim to be world champions, though.
No.
I don't know a lot about harmonica gear though. I don't know a lot about harmonica gear
Let
though.
it go.
I wonder if that chap's doing a podcast now.
I can remember his Christian name now. I don't know whether I want to say it. He was called John something.
Was it?
Yes, I probably know who that is.
Right, okay, yeah.
John the impersonator.
Anyway, so
Sorry.
ragtag gear, whatever you could lay your hands on, basically. I mean, I take it because of funds, because of the gear wasn't available. I guess because you couldn't look it up online, could you? Unless someone had a posh catalogue from somewhere, or knew a mate who had been to America within the thing, you wouldn't know that these instruments or these things existed.
People used to try and steal the Fender catalogue out of Maulings. There was only one in 2 towns.
Wow.
You know, like it was people.
Oh,
you know,
guitar
like
porn. It's on the top shelf. You distract him, I'll nick it.
yeah.
Wow.
You had to actually go to the shop to see the gear.
Yeah.
You know.
Would you find bits of it torn in a hedge somewhere?
All the pages are stuck together.
Because obviously me still being a noughties mate, going to the Moorlands to get me, like after I'd saved up and bought my first guitar for myself. I mean, sorry to interrupt on this.
No, you're right.
No, go
My
for it.
first guitar was a little starter kit, which was a Fender Squire with a little 15-watt Fender amp.
So there was a whole package.
Yeah,
that they
package
sold.
kit,
it was the Argos £199 little Fender starter kit.
Right.
Loved it. That Squire, mate, I had it for years. You know, brilliant little guitar. But I saved up myself because, you know, it's like you want to get one for your own.
Yeah.
And it was an ESP Viper 50. that they had at Moorlands at the top end of town when it stood up there. And I remember going in there week in, week out, mate, with whatever I had in my pocket, just putting it behind the counter. So that when it got to I think it was 350 quid.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'd 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months had gone past, man, and walked out of there, mate, with my Viper 50, happy as Larry. But that feeling, man, of saving up and going into the guitar shop.
It sounds so old-worldly, doesn't it? It sounds so otherworldly. So, like, it sounds like the 19th February was literally 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which was no time at all,
is
really.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that you were so determined to learn that instrument. I mean, I've bought my kids electric guitars, acoustic guitars, drum kits, keyboards. None of them are interested.
Yeah.
But you were so determined to learn that instrument that you were just going to put whatever money you had behind that counter until you had enough.
Yeah, it's the hunger for it. Like Pete saying, when you hear someone's playing, and you think, well, they're not. I mean, I was watching Maiden, you know. I was watching and watch their gear. It's all beat up. Yes, they got state-of-the-art amplification. And everything, but them boys are still playing the same guitars that they had back in the day.
I can remember my mum taking me, because we found a bass, that bass I'm talking about, with an amp for about 55 quid in the advertiser.
Yeah.
And I had about 35 quid, and I can remember going in my mum's like 1300 Morris. Seriously, to look at this thing and thinking about how we were going to get it in the back, and my mum trying to the extra money, do you know what I mean, and things like that, and how important, and just that feeling inside, you know, like bringing this thing home, you know, like it's.
I love where we've gone for this, because we get from gigging to gear, because gear is something that, let's face it, we all just want nice gear, don't we? It's all good to have.
It's nice to have.
I've got a problem, haven't I? And probably, do you know what?
So bringing that up to date then, talking about that gear and that gigging stuff, because I've seen what kind of PA stuff and gear you've got these days. So that Roland PA of yours is a sweet piece of gear.
You've got
and stuff
work.
Like you've got some gear nowadays. For someone
when we were in the band, he used to rehearse and gig with different amps. Every fucking rehearsal, every gig, different amp, different pedals, different guitar.
I've got to tell you that over the lockdown, right, I've really reduced my gear down to nothing almost, right? I can tell you exactly what I'm playing at the moment. Electrically, I'm playing Steve Margetson's Blade Leveson.
Yeah.
Like Strat type guitar, because he used to be my father-in-law. So you know, like, and I have got that, and I only play that. And I've acoustically, I've got a Thurk, which is a guy over somewhere Eastern Europe that, like, it's good quality acoustic. He hand makes them, you know, like they're. I think his son is his apprentice in his 30s, I think. His name's Peter Thurk, and he won't let his son do one yet. You know, like...
When I die, you can take over.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
So that was early gear and early gigging for you. How about you, John? What was early gigs, early gear like for you starting out? So when did you pick up your guitar, did you even start with guitar? I don't even know.
I started learning on... I mean, I probably had piano lessons when I was young, a couple of them, but I wanted to be a musician, but I didn't want to play a piano. They're fucking heavy. Do you know what I mean?
When you go play the Magforgan, right? Your guitar's way a freaking
It is that. You win with that kind of thing. I like it's the way forward. And I just thought at the time piano wasn't exactly... I don't know, it just wasn't the thing for me. Guitar seemed more flashy. I was young.
Well, they are cool.
They're cool. They're cool. It's a cool instrument to play, you know.
Now it's fine.
Yeah. Now it's all right. So I suppose I probably started learning when I was about 14, 15, something like that. But I was crap for years. Well into my 20s, I think I started gigging when I was about 16, 17. But I wasn't technically really that good, you know. I knew about 5 chords and pentatonic scale. And I'd get wrecked and go on stage and kind of play. And the thing is, I think for a while, people, you know, I think I kind of pulled it off because I was in like an acid rock band. Wow. So people thought, this is what they're supposed to be doing.
How did you get gigs on the Yarmouth and Lowestoft music
hang on,
scene,
I think
playing acid rock?
Well, I think there's something
90s.
worth saying there, right? Because for some people, there is a place where your confidence vastly outstrips your ability, which is what gives you. Right?
That's how I started,
As you get later in life,
They
that
switch.
goes. That
Yeah,
seems.
So
to
you feel it's like a bit of a, I think it's a little bit of a U-curve, because now I'm getting older, I find that I give less and less of a shit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
At
yeah.
the time I was very
Yeah.
self-conscious in my late 20s, early 30s. I was very self-conscious.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now I'm in my 40s. I really couldn't give a monkeys.
Yeah, but don't you think that you're more confident? It's just because you have more confidence in your ability that causes you not to give a monkeys.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean?
There
It's
is
that.
that,
It's the
yeah.
same
It's that
thing.
amount of skill.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
bit of a swing by.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of first gigs then, John. How did you get them?
my very first
especially
gig-
with an acid bloody.
Well, that was a battle. I did like a battle of the bands thing. That was a disaster. I think I played once, and we had to use our own PA, which would kind of huddle together out of a recording desk and some speakers that weren't going to cut it. And I think we got about 3/4 into the show. We were doing The Passenger by Iggy Pop. I'll remember this forever because it was fucking devastating, really. The PA blew up, and I made the conscious kind of decision to wreck the stage rather than be moody, rather than go, oh no, this is a real... I wrecked the stage, went kind of backstage thinking, well, that was shit. And a chap came in and said, he ran the Vibe Room at the time, his name was Fox. So that was the old wrestlers in Yarmouth.
Oh,
But they
yeah, I know
changed it in the
wrestlers.
Vibe Room, it was like this music place.
Yeah.
And he came in the back room and said, can you do that next Friday for like 175 quid? And I went, exactly that. And he went, yeah. I was like, fucking course I can.
I can find another ramp to block.
It's like that,
Set
you know.
fire to something else.
And yeah, just kind of really took off quite quickly in my first band.
Yeah.
But I had absolutely no real skill kind of level.
But I take it. What were you keep? Did you keep having lessons? Did you keep
No,
practicing and stuff like
I
that? Just
literally kept drunk and-
baptism of fire on the gig front. Yeah,
Literally
because I
that,
always
yeah,
found gigging was my biggest learning experience. I
Yeah,
was in a
that's how
harmonica
you
band
learn.
from the age of 11, and I just found like just being around 4 other instruments the entire time and playing and playing and playing and playing and playing
Yeah.
is how you get your 10,000 hours in. Sometimes
It's that
isn't it,
really,
you know?
yeah. I mean-
you learn so many songs. You learn so many, so much give and take.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think from jamming with other people, you just learn what fucking fits and what really doesn't fit, especially from other people's faces.
What you do was right.
So I think it's quite a quick way of learning, really, playing with other people. I never had any lessons. On
That's
the
the
guitar
skill,
or
isn't it?
anything,
Because you're
you
actually
know.
playing the crowd. You
Yeah,
know,
you're
like
playing
this
the
is
crowd,
going bad, this is going bad. Let's do something else. This is going
You
bad.
do learn to kind of try and
Which is
Yeah, I
it's
think-
authentic, mate, isn't it?
It's that, yeah, you
That's
can-
where-
you learn you kind of
Learn your craft.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I can make a terrible noise sound pretty good. I think from that kind of stuff. I
John,
like a bad
this
noise.
I can't wait till we get to John's current gear. I want John's current gear
Well,
to
go
be
on, let's have
discussed
it now. What
because
is your current gear, John?
funny. John's current gear
Go
is
on.
funny.
Well, I don't know what
you
I've got
got.
now.
You got some beautiful looking guitars.
I mean, right, so I've got like a Burns guitar. I used to have like, I don't know, a stupid amount of Fenders, and then I went from being in quite a good blues band that's getting paid well to a. That's when I then went original.
okay.
So I sold all my instruments.
So what? This
to
is
eat.
going all too well, making all too much money.
yeah.
So,
That's a musician thing, that is.
I think I see echoes of your first gig. Right, I'm just going to set fire to all of this.
It was just, well, I was in a band. They didn't want to necessarily carry on doing it.
Right.
So you know, you are reliant on other people, and so yeah, the blues band split up, and I thought, oh, fucking, I don't need all these guitars. I'll go acoustic. Sold them all. Bought an acoustic and did that for quite a while, really. And then I started. Well, I was in a band with you and all sorts. So I had to then get gear, and I was
all
having
over again. You had to go out and acquire
everything.
Yeah.
I was having guitars built for like 50 quid and stuff like that, playing them on stage.
Yeah.
And I've still got some of them hanging on my wall. I mean, they sound fucking brilliant.
Even our covers band was original. Your covers band was
Oh,
original.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
nothing.
I've never
I
played.
vaguely recognise
Yeah.
2 words in the chorus that sound like they could have been tainted love.
It's always
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was in a rock band, we didn't learn anything.
Why
We'd
not?
just go, we'll do Jump and Jack Flash in B or whatever, and then we'd go to the
just go
gig and
for
we'd
it.
play it. Yeah.
I mean, I used to when I had a little dalliance with the guitar in my late teens, and I was in a band with three fairly older guys, a drummer, a bass player, and a guitarist,
Yeah.
and they were playing songs that I literally never heard of.
Yeah.
And I was just watching them because I'm nicely musically educated, and was watching their chords and going, "Oh right," and then just jamming it, and they were
Yeah.
going, "God, how do you know that song? What song?" Never heard of it.
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Oh, no, it's by the so and so, the Manic Street Preachers, the Beatles, the whatever.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't know it, mate. It's just what you've played just now. I'm just playing back at
I think
it.
that ability to jam makes a huge.
Yes, which obviously you got from your, I think, from your early days of being in
Not-
that band
not actually
and just,
being able
just,
to play, yeah,
just
yeah,
going,
yeah,
just
yeah.
doing it. Oh,
That's
total instinct.
play, yeah.
I think so. You learn.
John once you had an acoustic, John, and one of the strings just made the fret buzz noise.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
no other notes
No, it didn't make
on
any
it.
notes, just buzz.
Just one of the strings.
Yeah.
And John, he wrote it into a song. You know, like he uses it as a feature. There's a bit where the rattle comes.
Yeah, there's no
you know,
such thing
like-
as a broken guitar.
That's right, yeah,
Extra
yeah.
noise.
Yeah. Just a different tune.
It's like a gift, you know. And the guitar I write on most is like it doesn't really tune. I bought it for like a £5 in a charity shop. It's a piece of crap, but it sounds slightly drunk. So it's brilliant to write. You know.
Okay, thanks for that, John. What about Mr. Danny R then? Because you come from a different era, which I mean, all of us come from. I come from a very different background, maybe the same era as perhaps John and a little bit Peter.
Yeah.
But you seem, from the conversations I've had, to come from a. You started an era where I was off having kids and pursuing the day job and stuff like that, and it seemed like you filled in a lot of gaps for me in the local music scene.
I'm still at school at that point, mate.
Well, there's no need to rub it in. Anyway, and what was your early gig experiences in? Because you started on the old electric, that one you'd saved up for, yeah?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
so what were you doing then, gig-wise?
so
Who was in your band?
practicing leading up. Jack Savage was my brother from another mother. He was the one that was a total rock head, whilst I was a complete rap head. So we clashed at school musically, but we became best mates.
Yeah.
And we did look quite similar as well. But he bought me a couple of Iron Maiden albums for Christmas one time, and I was furious. He'd done it as a piss take, and I knew he was going to do it. And he was like, "Yeah, mate, we got you these." I was like, "You better not."
That backfired on him, didn't it?
Albums, man, because I don't want them. I tell you what, though, it was the first two Iron Maiden albums, Iron Maiden and Killers, and
Killers is a superb album, mate.
mate, I heard Phantom of the Opera,
Yeah.
like the instrumental.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hated the fact that I really liked it.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd have to go back to school and be like, "Yeah, I actually really like this, mate." And he was like, "Right, get yourself a guitar." So I'd been up in the loft, mate, got me one down from my old dad's. Got that, got the electric for Christmas. Same as yourself, John, we're out in the back garden, mate. We're in Kesselland, down by the old Sailors Home. Is where I grew up down there, mate. Old garage doors, there's us two just clanging around with whatever sort of tabs that we can get off the internet, whatever we can find and print out or anything.
You see, so this is a move on from where, like, what Jon Peach talking about,
stuff,
the internet's been invented,
so at this
and people
point-
are sharing tabs and sharing info.
No,
This
it's
is
not,
great.
it's not that advanced yet. We're literally HTML, basic AOL dial-up.
But someone had
right,
shared
yeah,
them, like, so that you can then
Yeah, up
download
onto
it. Okay, yeah.
ultimateguitar.com.
Yeah, which
And
is
it
still
was
going
like-
strong now. Yeah.
I still use it all the time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like the first sort of like year that it had been put up, so it was like yeah, awesome.
Wow.
So yeah, we're just jamming out in the garage and that. We had lads and kids from all over the village coming over, mate, because he was in our small little place. We had motorbikes out the back. The old man come back. He was like, "What the fuck's going on?" So from there we was like, "Yeah, let's get a gig," and we jumped in with Cause for Concern, which was a band that was doing well from Beckles, and a band called Depth as well.
So this was a support slot, was it? You were up, you were
we
doing
basically
it?
just scraped a fucking support slot.
Just the
for
two of
everyone.
you, or
Yeah.
did you have a drummer or anything?
We've managed to get Nathan Cunniford, who's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
multi-talented guy, mate. He just started drums. He'd had a rack. He had like the old rack.
Was it a
set
was
on
it
kids.
Tammer?
Them days,
They-
yeah,
they
the
seem to
rotor
have
toms.
scaffolded.
Yeah.
Rotor toms, yeah.
The early noughties had scaffolding.
That's it.
Yeah.
We get there 2 days before the gig started.
Yeah.
So we get-
I've got the double bass drum pedals.
Yeah.
So we had Ruth Webber on vocals, myself on guitar. I was playing rhythm and lead. We had Dan Chatters on guitar that side, Savage on bass, Nathan on the drums. We played 4 songs at Seabreeze. I think one of them was the Distillers. It was catering, obviously, for like how Ruth wanted to do the sets. I think we fucked up all 4 of them, but loved it. You know, and what great experience, man. At Seabreeze, and we managed to get the old floor bouncing as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, you know, it was one of them places I'd been to quite a few times. I'd never really sort of intended to be a guitarist or anything like that. I'd always just, I liked my music, but I wanted to be in the studio writing rap and dance beats and that kind of stuff. So it really was an unexpected kind of transition into that. But yeah, mate, chuffed as nuts.
So how did you go on getting gigs from there? Did it just roll? Were other people asking for you? Was then Jack so keen now we got a partner in arms and whatever?
Yeah, me and Jack, we
gigs.
instantly clicked because we were both, he was learning bass and I was learning guitar. So we were both progressing together.
Yeah.
So that unspoken language of you could look at each other and knew, like, if one of you fucked up, you could, where you're going to get back in again, how you doing this, or why have you missed that out. It was just that written language.
That on stage learning.
That makes a huge difference. Yeah.
So the band kind of changed around us as we stuck together and we started wanting to write rock songs for ourselves. That was the band sort of changed. So I think we went through 3 lead singers, 2 drummers, and we finally formed Fouling Duty, which was myself, Frankie Rush, who kind of reminded us of Pete from like the first Big Brother, who had Tourette's. He looked just like him, mate, and he was just as crazy as him. But I mean, he was doing songs like Bodies Hit the Floor, we were doing Marilyn Manson, we were going right across all that sort of stuff, as well as starting to tinker around with our own. But yeah, it just sort of led from there. And Fouling Duty, we stayed like that from 16 till sort of early 20s, 2021. But that was my first proper band, man, that we'd stuck together and actually got out and done all right for ourselves.
How was getting gigs for everybody around that sort of time? I mean, was it like? I mean, I'm interested in like.
It was
how
through
that's
bands.
changed. Was it through other bands?
When was this?
Through other
What
bands.
sort of year?
2000s.
05. I mean, the first big band local that we got to support was Raucous.
Okay, yeah.
Well, they were everywhere at one
They
point,
were,
weren't
yeah.
And they were, their manager, Clive Savage, actually was then dating his daughter.
Okay.
So it was like, brilliant. We've got a member in with Raucous' manager.
Stuart's
do you know what I
lad.
mean?
Stuart, I played. It was obviously the pump drummer, the raucous drummer,
Yeah.
Stuart Robertson. It was the pump drummer. He is the loudest drummer in the world.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable, mate, wasn't it?
He is the.
But yeah, it was cool. So yeah, that's how we.
So it's just like word of mouth, who knew each other. This band's got a gig, so they would ask you up and all that,
but
that
still,
kind of
you had
stuff.
to, you had to
So there was a
earn
bit of a
your
scene
stripes.
going on.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
you had to feel like you earned your
So
stripes
like you had to
as
be
well.
any good, or you at least had to
Yeah.
play the game a bit.
Yeah, because Raucous weren't going to have.
They weren't gonna have no one, yeah.
So we were like, our first gig with them, we were just, everyone's on form. We've been practicing like solid, man. We used to practice 2 or 3 nights a week around Clive's because he let us. He invested his time and his money in us, which we never expected. He bought us a big PA system and that, man. So whilst he's doing all this Raucous stuff, he's setting
still
us
setting
up
up
as this
on the
little
band.
band as
really
well.
nice, really good.
And that well, it was amazing, man. 2 or 3 years that we had that for with him. But
Yeah.
I think because it was our first taste of it, you take it for granted
Okay.
in that sort of sense. And I think if we all went back now, it'd be a different kettle of fish, mate.
Well,
do it a
that's
bit
what I
differently,
want
yeah.
to sort of
I think
get
that,
some
yeah.
sort of. That's what I want to sort of bring in here about now is like we've all got to talk about our early gig experiences, and mine was quite markedly different to each of those. I was in a managed band from the age of 11 and played
Very
TV.
professional route.
Played
that you led
TV
off.
shows, cruise ships,
Yeah.
and Glastonbury Festival. So it was quite different for me. I was never really on the local scene until I got into my late teens and started playing guitar. Because as it turns out, no one wanted a harmonica player. I would literally go to auditions and go, or ring people up. I'd see bands looking for musicians in the back of the Anglia Diamond Free ads, the yellow paper, or in the back of the Lowestoft Journal, or any of those papers that don't come through your door anymore. And would literally go there and ring them up and say, "Hello, mate, I see you putting a band together. Yeah. What do you play? Oh, I play harmonica." No, he don't want one of those. Oh, I sing as well. All right, we'll give you a chance then. God damn it. So I started learning guitar as well as a way to get in a band, and it turns out I wasn't actually any good. I don't know. I got my girlfriend pregnant and the rest is history. So,
That's part of the music scene as well, isn't it? Stuart from Raucous, I cannot tell you the best story in the world.
anyway, so,
On we go, mate.
but getting gigs back then didn't seem to be a problem. Anyone would have you play in that pub, and anyone always knew somebody who wanted a band at a party, who wanted a thing,
People used to go to me, "How did you get that gig?" I go, "I phoned them up." I mean, it was that simple.
Yeah.
There was never anything. There was a
That's
piece
it,
of
mate.
paper.
My
I just
brother,
phone them up, say,
late-
"All right, do you want to
later
this
on-
band, that band, or I do this?"
What, so you would just ring the pub and go,
Just phone the pub and say,
Yeah.
"All right, can I?"
In
And
the
then book you in
late-
4 times. Or if you'd never played the pub, you'd play there once. I don't know.
yeah.
And then they'd book you for the rest of the
Yeah,
year. You'd always
in
be
the
there.
late
Has that changed
80s.
these days, though.
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, hell.
I mean,
there were so many places.
Pandemic to one side, okay.
It changed before the pandemic.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, because we were talking about this before we started this podcast. We were talking about this, my God, weren't we?
In rehearsal.
In rehearsal. about that it was kind of, Pete, you said that it was kind of, seemed like that movement was on the rise anyway.
There's less venues. There's like
10 venues and 6 million bands.
even places like, can you remember the Suffolk Punch?
Yeah.
The Suffolk Punch was...
Housing estate.
It was gigs Friday, Saturday and Sunday lunchtimes.
Yeah.
There was gigs, bands, Friday and Saturday night bands, duos, sometimes a band even on Sunday. That's a pub on a housing estate.
Yeah.
I like music, right? I generally
I hope
think
so, John.
But you know what I mean? If you get Friday night off,
We thought that. We thought that before.
it's not bad. I'm
Setting you up as number 5.
I'm thinking about getting into it a bit.
Okay, go on.
But if I was going to go out Friday night, Jesus Christ, where would I go? Sometimes I look and think, well, I don't like that band. There are bands that I ain't that keen on. Once I go, I ain't that keen on that band. So unless I want to travel 30 miles...
Yeah, there's
no
one.
one to go and
There's
see.
one. You know, like it used
We
to...
lost the other great venue, didn't we?
The brewery.
Which, how do you know I was going to say the brewery?
Yeah,
It's a
mate.
hell of a
Because that was
venue.
bands from Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday afternoon.
But, mate,
And they
some-
didn't
there's been
care.
some
They would book
mega
you.
gigs.
Just walk in there and go, I mean, I've done that for a blues duo. We played half originals, half covers. I mean, we had 30 songs and I went, yeah, we're a blues duo. Have you got a demo? No. Oh yeah, well we'll put you on a Thursday night and we'll give you 60 quid.
Yeah. And if you're crap, you'll never come back.
Yeah,
You'll be on a Saturday.
Yeah.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
You actually... You earned your stripes by earning your fucking stripes. You didn't earn your stripes by Facebook, man.
No.
I've got 40 million followers.
Oh, you got to
Who
get.
gives a
you
shit?
gotta-
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. And if we bring it up to date about getting the gigs, the first thing I'll say is, have you, and I've run pubs just like you were talking about there, John, and they say, have you got any live videos? Well, okay, what's a live video? Is it the two of us sat in front of a camera in my lounge?
Do you want me to
Is it
edit you
of
something?
us actually being a gig
Yeah,
and doing
yeah.
that someone else has taken? Because I don't know if I can organise that. What do you mean by that? Here's a demo. Well, I haven't got a CD player. Do you know? It's
Yeah,
just
that's
like, what do you do?
Plus, I'm pretty good. I mean, I could make a video, make me look fucking brilliant in a massive venue and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that
But you
correspond
can't,
to your-
doesn't mean you can cut it
No,
live.
it doesn't correspond to your pub either. If I turn up to a pub 70 miles away from where I live, where no one's ever heard me, chances are I'll probably be quiet unless you've got a fucking audience.
Absolutely.
And if you've got an audience, I'll entertain the shit out of them.
Do you have a following? Time was you wouldn't have to worry about that because there
'Cause
would
you had an
already
audience.
be people in the
Yeah,
bar.
yeah.
No, packed. These places were packed all the
All the
time.
time, yeah.
Whether you were playing there or not.
Yeah,
Whether-
yeah,
no difference,
because
no.
there was
Yeah.
always something on. Because there was. Do we feel then that there was a scene and perhaps there isn't anymore?
Yeah,
or
well, I
the scene
think
has
so.
changed.
I think there used to be a music scene where pubs knew what they liked because they knew their audience. So that some pubs always had rock bands on, or they always had
You
this
knew
kind
where
of
you
band.
were getting,
on,
where you wouldn't, didn't you?
Yeah, you knew where you could
Like,
play
you
and where you
knew-
couldn't play.
Yeah, because you were suitable for that place.
That place, yeah, exactly. And the audience would like you because you play, and it was just.
The old the brick makers over in Norwich still seem to be able to. One of the places still doing that. They have rock bands, heavy rock bands, metal bands on
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that place is always.
Well, it has always been like that. It's always been a bit of a funny place. The
Yeah,
Greyhounds,
to be safe.
the Greyhounds were the king of Bucky.
were,
They were the king of the
Greyhounds.
brick
But
makers.
then you got the B2, next to it, which is hit and miss.
Well, we played there, didn't we, Danny? Danny and I played there on a special sort of.
It was a
on
Thursday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was literally us and the two other bands that were playing.
Yes, I've done exactly the same. Been asked to
it.
support a band, and gone there and
The audience was 8 people who were in the two other bands.
we all played to each other.
What's the
And we could've
point?
just- yeah, we could have done that at my house.
They let the guy gog in for free.
Yeah. So I think it's hit and miss,
Yeah.
And
Like
people
say-
like, why go and pay a £5 to watch bands?
And which you like.
And
say
it's the
you've
bands that
driven
people
50
don't
miles.
know. It's the bands that technically in there, not bands that people don't know, but your original bands that are trying to fucking push themselves and make a career. It's not bands that are playing fucking covers that everybody knows. And
No.
everything. So I think that charging and you've got to pay to see a band that play songs you don't know, or you can stand in there and watch fucking Smoke on the Water for free. Do you know what I mean? I just think there's this really weird disconnect where I understand why they do it because pubs are trying to make money out of beer, but you
Well,
need to
there's
distinguish
the
yourself
thing,
from a
right?
pub
One
to
of
a
the
music
things about
venue.
the scene is that the music industry has been connected to various drugs, but mostly the alcohol industry for its entire lifetime. You don't go to see see, people used to go to the pub to get drunk, and while they were there was a band on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
It needed to be the other way round. It needed, like it's always needed to be the other way round. That's one of the things that this is an opportunity, isn't it? It removes. In some ways, it can. It's like you play theatre gigs, John. You do. You know the.
I'll play anywhere they'll have me, mate.
I realise, but you must. What's it called? The Seagull.
Seagull,
You
yeah.
played the Seagull.
There has been theatre gigs on the right. So I was in a band for a little while called Zingaro Blue going about here, and they would absolutely pack out the Seagull.
Yeah.
I don't know, John. You packed it out as well.
And you get a drink at half time.
Coming to see you, coming to listen to your live music, and I think that's to do with something that Danny has introduced me to about niching and micro niching. I think where that's come in. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that, please, buddy? Because you explained it to me, and it's made total sense.
So obviously we look for super fans. Super fans class as someone that's willing to go out there and buy your CD.
Yeah.
Not just listen to 0.04% stream.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that you get. And the way of finding them, because as you're saying, it's so messy out there, mate.
Yeah.
It's like, as original music makers, it's like, how do we separate ourselves from them? And it's through niching yourself, micro. So it's like, you're a singer-songwriter, but you play the guitar, but your style is this, and sometimes you have a bit of that. So you go from being like just a musician to really getting down to the fine aspects of what you do in your musical and what you like.
Yeah.
Basically, you're looking for a replica of someone like yourself out there. With your music taste, what you like in your videos and that, because it builds that kind of that feeling around your music and the brand as what we are, because we are a business at the end of the day. As well as we do this for our own love, we want to do it to be able to earn some money in our pockets and do it full time. But that's where the business aspect of it is, and that's where you can filter yourself. But the trick is knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
And it starts off with just pen and paper, write down what you do, and just get it smaller and smaller. So for me, like spiritual aspect, bit of rock, bit of folk, and that's how I kind of try to brand myself as.
Yeah, I think it does come down to branding, really. I mean, if you're trying to further if you're trying to become part of the music industry, which let's face it, that's what we are actually trying to fucking do.
Oh yeah.
Then you need to treat it like work, you know. And the amount of people I know they do music for fucking 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you do any job like that, you will be shit at it.
And like you were saying earlier, Pete, is like you've got a product now, right? You've got that product. Okay, great. But how are you going to advertise it?
Yeah.
What's different about your product compared to Paul's, John's? It's like it's
about fishing social media as well. You can do that a lot better now. That's the thing. It's about using them against
everybody else. And we've all got that, but trying to...
It's alarming. You said like a super fan is someone like me, and for people like John, that limits his market like massively. Do you see what I mean?
That's what Danny's saying. That's what kind of Danny's saying, if I've got this right now.
Yeah, micro niche.
The culture has changed from like there'll be people in the pub, they need entertaining, and you're there doing live music, and they're grateful for that and they're happy about that because they're involved in a whole experience that's going on right now. So okay, I can be super picky, and you think about these, you know, these Generation Zs and maybe the later end of the millennials, whatever it is, those people, not necessarily because it's a broad statement, but anyone that can choose, that has ultimate choice to just scroll past it. I can choose to scroll past it, and if you're in the pub and you're making a big old noise and they don't like it, well, they can't scroll past it. They've got to stand there and join in with everybody else, and they don't want to. I don't want to. This is nasty. And they won't even take the choice and go, all right, well, I'll go to the next pub. There might be a different band in there. They're just not going to go at all. They're just going to go to a pub where there isn't a band, where they can be as rowdy and as shouty as they like. And I think the culture has gone to that. So we need to then source those people out that actually like it, what it is we're doing. And that just takes, 95% of your time doing social media and 5% playing bloody music.
You're trying to make yourself a big fish in a small pond. Singer-songwriters is the massive lake sea that we're all in. But it's reducing it until you get to that point where you found yourself a pocket of people that are mad about Harry Potter for instance. If
There's quite a lot of us as it goes.
If we sat down and intentionally started writing Harry Potter kind of styled
Yes.
music,
I see. So you actually aim
So
your
this
product
is
as
what-
well.
so I'm still a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
But I'm now on acoustic, but I'm writing magic Harry Potter themed
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
So I've gone from being in a massive pond of singer-songwriters where nobody's going to find my Harry Potter music to whittling it down. to
That's a
emphasising
good point.
that's that kind of removal.
I always
process.
try and say something offensive as one of the reasons I go out as Reverend Moon.
I would
It's
try not
because
to.
people are less likely to have a go at you if you've got a controversial idea. People are less likely to have a go at you if you're a vicar.
Disagree. I think that the internet, which is one of the reasons I deleted the Facebook out recently, is absolutely fueled by hate. And I think you'll find if you start putting some of those opinions on Twitter, you might find there's a fight out there, and keyboard warriors are prepared to, with boundless enthusiasm and endless energy, get stuck
Keep
in.
promoting my gear,
Well,
effectively. I get publicity.
That's how some people make a living out of it. What's her name? Hattie Hopkins. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
she makes
yeah,
a living.
Yeah, but people disliking it.
And to be honest, I mean,
It's easier, though, isn't it? It's got to be easier. Surely.
yeah, to be honest, I've released songs on Facebook, right, and some of them will get 11,000 views, and some of them will get like 100. And I used to let that, really dictate whether I actually made a proper recording of that demo, or whether I didn't.
Right.
I mean, that actually made a difference to me.
So you think? So you look at it and go, okay, that one's popular.
People like that.
I'll record that one. That's the one people like.
Yeah.
You're letting your creative
Well, I think we
Yeah,
can
so
all I've definitely been guilty of that.
Really
as
was
well.
pigeonholing what I wanted to do.
Which is a shame, because you'd rather just write, and which is what I said earlier on, is one of the things I've always admired about you, that you just record it and go.
Yeah, just bang it out now.
That's
And
the
then-
difference between artist and businessman, isn't it? That is that divide that all artists, whatever they,
But why do you find we have to be those businessmen these days? Whereas back in the days of, and I don't want this to be a whole dewy-eyed nostalgia of, we used to do these gigs and listen to us, aren't we bitter about not having a career in music? But at the same time, isn't it a bloody shame that we can't do just what it is the hell we like?
Yeah.
And make a living at it. And it's not like we're asking for a handout.
I used to try a
Learning
lot.
an instrument, writing songs, and honing your craft.
It's fucking hard work.
It really is.
And
Like you
gigging
say,
is
if you
hard
do it
work
3
if you're
hours
doing
a
it
day, you're not
properly.
3 hours a week, you're going to be shit at
Yeah,
it.
you'll be sharing it. You have to spend a lot of time every day doing it, and then you're travelling all the fucking boat. You have to be nice, even if you feel like shit. Which is, it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. You don't get sick pay. There's none of the other bullshit involved. And it used to feel easier.
Yes, it
You know
really
what I mean?
did.
And it's a
It
very
really
hard job,
did.
but it used to feel like an easier job.
Yes, it
Because you
did.
didn't have all that, I bet if I can put a photo of myself online to
Well, this
make
is
sure
it,
people
like,
know
you
I'm
have to
here.
build up to. I find that like social media, you have to build up to a gig.
Yeah.
Like even a local one.
Yeah.
I have to make a poster.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully I'm a graphic designer, but they invented Canva to put me out of a job
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
So you could just in 5 clicks create a poster and say, "Come see." But then you've got to post it in this Facebook group, that Facebook group, put it to your Instagram, get them to share it. And if you're the one, or what I found is, if you're the one keep promoting your own stuff, everyone goes, "Oh, I see him shouting again." As soon as someone else starts sharing
Helps,
stuff,
doesn't it? Yeah.
thing,
that's,
isn't it?
that's,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
the bloody holy grail.
this person invites you to like their stuff.
Yeah, and they go, fuck off.
There's nothing worse, is there?
And-
Do you know, I've never invited anyone.
DM to my YouTube video.
And we've all started discussing algorithms. Like, who gives a fuck about your Facebook fucking out? Stick it up your ass, man. I used to care about whether a song sounded good and whether, I don't know, whether I was going to fall off the stage.
Yeah,
That kind of shit. I hope these trousers don't rip. They're pretty
yeah.
No, I hope I fucking put out the right amount of advertising for the algorithm so 10 people fucking turn up.
Yeah, because
And then
they're
go online
already-
tomorrow and say, shit, it was.
Because they aren't already in the pub, are
Yeah,
they? We
yeah,
have
'cause
to
they're not
drag
there.
them there. We're back to that, aren't we? Have you got a following? Have you got this?
And then the
Have you
pub goes, it's very quiet tonight. And you feel like saying, yeah, you've got a shithole on
got-
your
that
hands.
sinking feeling when they do that, Oh, not many people in. Oh.
You've got a real worry on your hands, mate, 'cause this is your fucking business. I can go home. Do you know what I mean? That's what they don't understand. The industry's really changed, where I used to go, fucking hell, I worry for them. I worry for them. Their industry's fucked, man, and there
It
are
really
other places
is.
for me to play. I can busk. I can busk
Yeah,
on the street.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
this
to
is
make
it.
50 quid
Do
an hour.
we then, you talk about that, and we've been talking about that's our focus this year for busking as a Joe, isn't it, mate? Do we then, as singer-songwriters, as original musicians, then go with that tide of what we were doing anyway before the pandemic hit, of up in our home recording gear, doing more stuff like this and promoting ourselves as far as just being able to write and record, because I'll tell you what, man, the change in recording equipment and stuff like that these days, it's absolutely insane. When I first, I've been using an Apple Mac for years, and then all of a sudden I opened up a GarageBand one day and thought,
fuck, my life has changed.
What is this? And everyone called it a toy and was mucking about it. I was putting demos out on a Fostex 4-track and going into pubs and handing them a bloody C90 that I got free from the garage with 2 gallons of petrol.
I learned how to bounce for.
I
got 8 tracks because I can bounce and all that.
Shit, hissy as hell by the time it gets down to that one, innit? But perhaps that should be our focus then, and that's what I want to get going with. And talking to you boys on that chat group as well, which is why we're all here. It's like, let's just collaborate on some songs. Just create, just like. Content's a funny thing because I think the internet eats that up.
It does.
But I think we could just make stuff anyway.
I think what you were saying about your busking? What you're also doing, busking at a small level, all you're doing is owning your own venue.
You are.
All right. I made. When the First Light Festival was on, I busked with Karina outside it and made more money than any of them bands played.
Us. We were playing it.
I'll tell you what.
He played the first year, we played the second year, and we got paid quite tidy.
We made 160 quid in 45 minutes.
250 quid each.
Yeah, okay, but I'm just saying.
2 days. Was that 2 days?
We did play both. We did play. It was 5 performances. So perhaps per hour you did get.
Ain't too bad, man. That's why.
But we bussed outside. We had your crowd.
The hoops we had to jump through.
Yeah. Didn't do anything. Just stood outside.
As well.
You just picked up the bucket and walked off. We're writing an invoice. Which you don't mind because it's part of the business and you want to earn money. And if you were doing any job, you'd have to do that anyway. But we literally only got that job because of who I knew. To be fair, that and we're awesome, obviously. But the busking is.
You pick up fans as well. People say, "Who are you? Can I see you anywhere?" Like
the big pond and all that kind of thing. They walk past you all the time. And every 200 people, there's going to be some people in there.
You're going to get nice reaction, aren't you? Yeah. Whereas, we were talking about gigs, we're trying to pull people out to these places, and it's getting harder and harder. With this, I like the fact that we can go to them. If it's a nice day, the town's going to be busy. Wherever you go,
one up from that, I bought a horsebox lorry with a side door drop down stage.
Oh yeah,
I'm liking this.
See what I mean? You can
It's a camper. Well, the point is, you can actually play a car park. Anywhere. You can go up to Cromer and park in the Hill piece, drop your stage door down. You've got a venue anyway. You could, which, because we don't own a venue between us, might be the best thing.
There's a guy out in America, mate, and they call it Jam in a Van.
I've seen it. Yeah,
you might have seen it. Yeah. And they drive around America. They pull up at these places, mate. They start filming. They put it up on their YouTube. They get people in to come into the van for a jam, sit down, have a little chat with them.
They've had famous people, haven't they?
And they're all original artists from literally starting out to very successful musicians.
Yeah, Shannon and the Clams played. I reviewed them once. They're a really good band.
My point is that venue, regardless of its location, is actually built and established on the internet.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you park your truck, you need. The actual venue is established on the internet, not.
That's your hub. That's your HQ.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of these buskers and stuff like that. There's a band going out of Brighton that a friend of mine was telling me about, and every time they'll do a follow up on the internet. We're going to be in Brighton High Street, whatever it's called, name road. We're going to be there Sunday the 23rd, and they pack the place. People just flock there because they're going to go and see them.
Exactly.
There's band. Is it the Moochers? I think.
You're a fan of those. You like the Moochers.
Well, they played Yarmouth quite a lot, and they busked Yarmouth for. I don't know, maybe 3 months, and then they got in every venue.
That's the Scar guy, isn't it?
Money, and they are really good,
so they had to do lots of groundwork as well to get.
But they get paid well when they're doing the groundwork. I think busking. They look like they're
they
look like they're busy. They're having a good time doing it. I mean.
It's two lads singing reggae songs.
Yarmouth in the height of summer is going to be great.
There's been some brilliant buskers, hasn't there? Can you remember Roxy's Toolbox?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Over a Norwich band, there's a guy with they were just so entertaining. Cow print guitar he had,
punky kind of thing.
It was like it was punk and like quite heavy stuff, but done as a rockabilly style. They all had huge big like wig haircuts and things, and you know, like it's the same
really
as who were those glam rockers?
Those glam rockers.
Do you remember them?
Rick Tigham.
That guy was an entertainer. Right.
Well, they used to do they had 2 drum kits, didn't they? And they used to do chuck their sticks up in the air at the same time.
He had one. Can you remember the coat he had with the big long extendable arms, with the pole handles inside with his arms?
They were send up with the but the 70s and like glam rock scene when they were about it wasn't actually that long ago.
No, but it was the king of the live gig situation to manipulate that live gig. That a band like that would not survive this time.
No. I mean, is it getting harder and harder to create a vibe, to create a scene and stuff like that? Because all I ever see with musicians these days on the internet is, if it's not those busking guys playing this video, is like 30 seconds Instagram clips of, and harmonica players are probably more guilty of it than anybody else, and I've done it myself to see how it goes and stuff like that, of them just playing a really killer, fast.
Watch my skill.
And 10, 20,000 likes and 40 million views and shit like that. It's like,
shit at a gig,
or trying to flip a cup off a table and catch it on your head.
Is that right?
Yes, it's interesting. And it's interesting that you make that comparison, because it's literally the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Let's face it. There's no musical, there's no musical meat to that.
No. There's no artistic input.
No,
that's it.
There's no artistic integrity.
I don't think you can base your response to your musical ability on Facebook, because they will probably like you liking your farts more than your song. So, like people go, fucking hell.
So where do we get? Because as musicians, we do crave validation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's something in our psyche that made us want to pick up that musical instrument, made us want to pick up musical instrument and get on a stage in front of people playing. If we were just interested in the instrument, we'd all be just playing in our bedrooms right now.
I'll start singing.
Just one thing, the problem, right, is that as you get older, I believe, doing this, that actually becomes the place you're comfortable on the stage. You don't have to be yourself. You don't have to worry about. Do you see what I mean? It's almost becomes like meditation. You almost need to do it for your own well-being. So it's not like we don't need and also we've all got a little bit of that thing of that someone, mate, you were really good.
Validation. That's what validation I was talking about. So if we're not getting that from Facebook, if we're not getting that from things, where are we getting that from? And I think we need to get it from each other and support each other more than ever now. And I think there's too many, which I'm so glad you guys have come together for something like this. And why I'm going to try and encourage so many more musicians and keep coming back. We can do this again with the same bods and talk about. We pick gigging this time. I want to pick I want to pick musical technology and recording. We can do that for another chance. Stuff
I won't come for that one.
That's it. I'm out as well.
We can come and learn.
I'm going to take
we need someone to talk about the old gig. You just said about bouncing down tracks. Something there. But I think there comes a point we've got to get our validation. Like, in a way, we've got to support each other with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think audience generally think there's a certain amount of ego to being a musician. That fucking massive ego being awesome. I don't necessarily think it's that. It's that validation for the amount of fucking work you put in, the time, your entire life really is kind of spent building something. So of course you want. I mean, if it's your job, you do want some form of. You get paid for that.
But we do get it from each other. The other day, Pete Lister said to me, some really nice playing on that video you put on, and I wanted to go, mate, I'm going to call the Journal. Local musician gets accreditation from.
Sometimes someone will say, recording technique. Where did you record that? And you go, I used my phone and a microphone. Touch the air and
But it's just you're right about it being like that. It's more than validation, right? It's that acceptance that you haven't been wasting your fucking time for all your life.
Well, you say, you write a lot of songs. Other people don't notice. They
just have the one they like, John, and that's it. They're not interested.
It's just nice to know. I think that's part of the community. There is a musical community and the musical industry, And sometimes, with some musicians and shit, the musical community is so busy fighting each other to be part of the musical industry. And that's why it's shit, man, because people used to help each other, and there was a massive industry.
Well, just like Danny was saying earlier on, and it sounds to me like, you that as well, whereby you would literally, your whole young experience of gigging was from gigging with your mates'
With other
bands.
people.
Yeah,
With
here's
other
the thing,
bands.
right? Here's the thing.
And
that-
growing that
Yeah.
group, yeah.
Now it's like, if I want to be famous, right, I have to push you out of the way.
Yeah, but you,
So
you,
we can't be
no,
famous.
always
no, you don't
Sorry.
get this. You get to a certain level, right, and people start helping each other.
Yeah.
It's right at the very bottom where people don't normally help each other. The trick,
Is that you, what,
It's like the busking rule.
That?
It's like the busking rule where you can move on.
because we
right?
don't have a problem.
Nah, I read this thing.
You don't have a problem, and you're like
Yeah.
as good as it gets.
I read this thing online. Right, about this
It's
busking.
like-
It was a Facebook thing.
Yeah.
After an hour, you should kind of move on. To a point. If you've got the main place in Norwich, right, you busk for a bit. How long should you busk there? Should you be there all day? Take the whole fucking
If you want
Saturday.
to.
If there's people who want to use your space, right?
Okay, right.
So in Norwich, what they're saying is they usually do about an hour, and then they switch from place to place. There's a lot of places to play. It's rude, technically, to take the play. And there used to be rules. I mean, there were
Busking
actually
law,
fucking
kind of
law,
thing.
man,
Yeah.
that you couldn't stay in one place if someone else wanted
Plus,
to use it,
Norwich
right?
and Leicester are one of the few places that legally you don't need a busking license.
It's that, yeah. Because
Okay, so
generally
what-
they
so
do and they
what-
move
so
more.
what happens then?
And people were really moaning, right, saying, well, I should be there all day because I fucking paid to get there. I paid for my lunch. I have to make my money. And it's like, well, so does everybody else, man. And if it was part of a community, you could go, well, I'll tell you what, I've been here an hour. You
I'll
come
give
on.
you- yeah.
Where were you? I'll move there and we'll do this. And that's how that's how a community works.
What
But there's
I'm
a lot of
Do you
saying
think that the music industry has screwed musicians to the point where we have to slit each other's throats?
X Factor
no, no.
generation, man. Only one of us
Remember-
can win.
Yeah,
Remember
no, I
what
see that
Danny was
too,
saying
see that
about
too.
when he got started? There was a guy who was a bit older and involved in other bands and that helped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to become those people.
Yeah.
For the next.
Yes,
lot,
we do. However,
right?
I
That is
have encountered so many experiences with younger musicians, and Danny is the glowing exception to those things. Is that he's so
Yeah.
up for helping everybody else. But there's a couple of local musicians that I have tried to bolster, tried to be involved with, and just got nothing but been used and chucked aside.
Yeah,
then and gone,
yeah.
thanks for your help, mate.
Off you go.
By then, one guy was he's got a podcast going on. It's like, send in your tracks. Hello, mate. I heard you were looking for tracks. Oh yeah. Please, 2 of yours. I'll stick them on my next one. There you go, bud. There are the tracks. 5 episodes later, not used.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, okay, what were they crap? Were they? Because Radio 2 didn't seem to think so.
yeah.
I do a bit of writing for other, like, very young bands and stuff, but I tend to make it clear that they don't tell other people that I write their shit.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I don't want.
That's interesting.
John
Because I
writes
don't
for
want them
loads
to
of people.
know.
You got to remember, he's got like 100 and odd songs a day
Well,
to
for sure,
get rid
it
of
doesn't
somewhere.
necessarily mean
Well,
it right. So, I want to know who these bands are.
I'll send you some stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're just,
amazing.
they're just
I knew that
starting
already,
out.
actually.
I'm
I
sure
knew.
you did.
Yeah, they're just
yeah.
starting out, so they're not, they're starting out.
Yeah.
And they can't write lyrics. Lyrics are fucking hard, aren't they?
They really.
To be honest with you.
The problem with good lyrics need experience of life.
Yeah. And
When you're young, you haven't got any.
Exactly, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've helped, I'll help Danny here, and my friend Chris Garrett, I want to get on one of these as well.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have, about the, Chris, for Chris it was the technology.
Yeah.
I had an old Mac that I'd learnt to use GarageBand on,
Yeah.
and he was still recording on a digital 8-track.
Yeah, it was.
Which was just hissing.
Yeah, there's
and
no
he only
comparison.
had 8 tracks on it and blah blah blah. And he had a CD burner in it, so he couldn't even get an MP3 to put it on SoundCloud or nothing like that, or even share it about. So I was like, I went round this for a couple of jams and this Saturday, a couple of songwriting sessions, and I said, so you got any lyrics to this one? Oh, I don't write lyrics. It takes me a year to write lyrics.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll tell you what, took the Mac round, I set it up, this is how you record each track. Well, I went back a week later and he'd written 5 songs.
Yeah.
Because he could use the tools to be able to go round and round
That's
a piece
exactly that.
and lay a guitar bit down, listen to it perfectly, cut and paste the guitar bit around instead of having to play it and record it all over again.
Yep.
So that he could then write the lyrics over it. And jam shedders are doing great these
They are,
days.
yeah.
They're doing,
Really great, yeah.
But Chris is lovely and is really appreciative of that help and has taken it forward.
Things like
And it's
garage
all
bands
I
have
want
changed
to
the world really for musicians, I think, in some respects. I mean, you can literally record anything you want with a mic and a phone.
Yeah.
And a bit of time,
Yeah.
as long as you've got the patience.
What
to
you're
do it.
saying about people not always appreciating the help. Try and remember as well that most musicians are inadequate in their life in some other way. That is
Sure, no, that's
I
a great
agree with
point.
that.
more musicians have breakdowns over non-musical related things. You know, like they do.
Yeah, well, I've had this with Danny. I've gone to Danny and gone, oh, so and so screwed me over, and he was like, well, you know, have you said this? Have you asked that? That guy might not have realised. You know, I've gone to my wife and go, I recorded that whole album for this bloke, and he bloody now he's got a gig. He's not asking me to it. Well, did you
say? Yeah, no. There's quite a lot of that in there.
That feeling of how we feel about social media at the moment, how we feel like people are all stepping over it. You take that energy outside with you.
Yeah, I think so.
In your sort of daily meets and your sort of experiences with people.
I think there's a lot of expectation from other people that you expect someone else to do something, but if they don't know you expect them to do it, man, they ain't got a fucking clue, have they? So you have to come.
Well, yeah, there is this. I mean, if there's a skills shortage within what it is, you know, I've always been one of those people that will. Right, I'll break myself in half to find out how that works, and then stay up every night. Just for as long as it takes to learn how to do it. Whereas I guess certain people are being a bit kind of like, well, I'll get a guy for that. You know, that is beyond my capabilities. I'll get someone in to do that.
I think it took me about a year to learn to record. I used Mark as my producer for about 2 years, I suppose, 3 years, something like that. But obviously the Rona made that a bit tricky because we did still do quite a bit of recording. To be fair.
Just with no tongues.
Don't keep my clothes on.
My favourite songs to come out of the pandemic period is Pete's song "Splash Me with Your COVID."
That's great.
That's the thing.
Just for the title alone.
I live alone as well. You've got to remember that.
We're all sat in lockdown, right?
Splashing yourself.
And you can go on Facebook or whatever and see your mates making, for me personally, some of the best music I've fucking heard in my lifetime by musicians. I mean, I think it has made people write great music and stuff. The problem now is, right, pandemic's over, let's fucking find places to play it and show it off and that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, there are fucking really incredible writers and musicians that aren't...
You just can't tell what people are going to like, though, can you? You know, like people pick or dislike. It's the same. Yeah. You pick up, you'll do something almost as an afterthought or a joke, or because it's someone's birthday. Or something, and everyone goes, yeah, do more of that. You go, oh no, I don't want to do more of that.
I just wrote that as a fucking joke. That was a joke.
It happens all the time. You know, like...
Yeah, I find that quite
It's just like, that was the moment, you know?
I occasionally write a reggae song. I don't want to be in a reggae band.
Well, this is it. Like that, I find that interesting, getting back to that micronation thing, because up until recently, I've been a blues artist, like 2 blues albums.
You are a blues artist, you play a harmonica.
Charts.
That's what people do on the harmonica, isn't it?
Blues prejudice.
Is there another genre for harmonica?
See, now we're getting better.
Play violin, it's vocal classical.
That was exactly QED right there. It's a blues harp, and I had this from a few musicians. And what was again trouble getting in a band. I mean, why would you pick the harmonica for God's sake? You know, it's mad. But you know, trying to then do stuff that isn't blues, like my new album has stuff that's kind of indie and it's rock and even heavy metal on there. People are going to go, what?
But it's versatile as hell.
I don't want to niche myself. I want to go perhaps my niche is people that like harmonica music, not necessarily blues. Perhaps I picked the wrong genre.
I was in a band called Second Hand Blues, and I tell you what, it's a hell of a fucking thing, because you are stuck being a blues band. Even if, I mean, you know, we could have gone out.
And I was straight from work blues band. We never even had a set. Never once went out of a set, because blues is the set, isn't it?
That's exactly what we were. There wasn't need for a set. You're exactly right.
This is what we're playing, blues. There you go. Let's set this one.
Yes, let's do it. Shall we do this? Yes, let's do it.
This bit, because I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I went straight into learning all those riffs and stuff that I heard on guitar, and was like, how do I make that noise?
Yeah.
And then straight into a little rock band that was playing Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, all these other sort of things. So I missed that jamming period with the blues.
Yeah.
Right, which you found crazy, didn't you?
Well, yeah, because for a man that can find his way around a guitar so absolutely eloquently, like, well, as soon as I string out a 12-bar, he's gone, I don't know what to do now.
I've never just sat and jammed on a 12-bar.
Do you know, anything. I know a lot of guitarists and stuff, though, that are exactly the same. They are so fucking good guitarists. Amazing. And then you go left to a 12-bar, and they look at you slightly fucked.
Here you go.
And you go,
what is that?
It's because they think it's that 12 bars and shit, and this might be some sort of theory and this. Yeah. No, as you go, we're going to play Johnny Be Good but slow.
General feel of that.
They're all good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing.
Some of the best guitarists have been that. Right, you have to get started. and they
Yeah.
come with you. So
I find you one of those guitarists. People always say to me, what's Pete like as a guitarist? And I say, it's fantastic. If I was going to play a gig with you, I would rather you led the songs, and I'll just play fucking lead and jam along with you. Because you're a much better musician at being you than if I go to you, right, here's 10 songs, I want you to play these 10 songs. I'd rather you just
even
play
when you
what
do,
could
even
play.
when you've done that in the past,
Yeah, you just do what you do.
I've fucking annihilate. You know,
what you do.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
is what I said to Danny, because I was trying to, obviously Danny knew of John's music and knew what I was trying to say, oh, my mate Pete's going to come along for a chat. He says, well, what's he like as a musician? I said, well, Pete's like a human jukebox without being able to tell you what chord he can play.
It's exactly that.
I don't know anything
He's
about. I
got
do
two,
not
he's
know
got two
anything.
hands movements, just like Phoebe from Friends.
Yeah,
Chicken
yeah.
claw and
Like
turkey claw, but there isn't
know-
a song made he can't play.
There isn't, no,
and
no,
it's
no.
just like you
And style
bluff the chords that are like, I'm like, that's not the right chord, but it still sounds
exactly
great.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know
How
Paul
can
Hill?
this-
Do you know Paul Hill?
It's
He's the jazz guy over in Norwich. He's an examiner for someone like the London School of Music.
Oh, I see.
He's the guy that played the We Will Rock You or whatever on top of the thing in Norwich, right?
yeah.
And I've been out and duoed with him. He was a Greyhounds guitarist for a little while, and he used to cover as
Again,
a pump
that
guitarist.
name is not going to clang on the floor here.
No. He's like a Norwich guitar teacher,
Yeah.
and he is the jazz and absolutely the top of his game. I played a wedding. It was a wedding anniversary in the middle of the high street where people were sat at the cafe, and we walk up like a flash mob.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I played these people's wedding, got him in for this show. We sat in the kitchen, and I'm going, and I'll do this like this, and do this like this, and we sat and we were playing around with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I've played that with you.
And he sat like this, like with his mouth open, looking at me. There's nothing this guy don't know about music, right? And I'm going, it's probably not what you used to, Paul. You know, like, and he goes, it's absolutely amazing. He goes, it doesn't actually work at all on paper. No. What you're doing shouldn't sound
But
like...
then, have any of you guys, and I don't want to get too much into, I just want to touch on it gently, but have you seen the Beatles, the new Beatles?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Now, what that said to me, though, them boys could not read a note of music, they could not really tell you how chords were put together, but they could play anything, because they'd played just like you had there, and I think that you have accumulated the musical knowledge the same way they did, just by playing hundreds of thousands of songs over a number of years. I mean, them boys played their fingers off for 8 hours a night in that club in Hamburg, didn't they? And I think that the same sort of thing has happened to you. You know so many songs and have played so many gigs. Like, you know, even not just because you're old.
that's how I am old, that's true.
But I think you crammed so much in such a small amount of time that you could just do it. No, it's instinct to you now.
And you see how so many songs are the same. And it's like
The patterns.
Yeah, the patterns.
Yeah.
the way they play, the way they
I
do
play
this.
completely. If I can,
Well,
I
I've
can
used
work
your
out
fingers
if
on
I
the
can
guitar, to be
hear
honest,
it. I can hear it. If you can hear it, if I know where I want it, I think it's almost like I know about the hand movement I want to reach the next sound I want, and there's nothing written down between that I can nothing I could show you on
That's why the
paper.
rest of us do scales, arpeggios, and chord practice and stuff like that. So to build up the muscle memory to where we go. So you were doing that just by doing in the songs to associate that finger pattern, that breath pattern goes with that note, and I think you did that through songs.
Mate, perhaps so.
Theory on it anyway.
Every now and again, it's got a bonus that you come up with something that's not written musically or that people haven't done.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I can get away with it sonically.
You don't have the constraints of the musical education.
Theory.
Yeah.
And that's freeing. in
All
itself.
education. Yeah. All education. That is it. Well, John knows as well, some of the stuff that I'm into is not what you'd consider conventional music.
No.
And even, like, I like the theatery things and
I like to get bits from everywhere.
Yeah.
Eclectic
And
is a word I've heard used. Yes.
And
All right, buddy. Well, I think we've got enough for a great first episode. Thanks everyone for coming and all that. And I think we can get together and talk about another subject another time.
We
It's
can.
been a pleasure,
definitely.
mate.
Hasn't it been? It's been reassuring.
It's not.
It's been emotional.
Well, John, Pete, Danny, thanks ever so much for joining us, and hopefully see you again soon.
Nice one,
Thank you.
Steve.
Thanks for hosting
Cheers,
this,
Bob.
Paul.